The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me.
I hate to complain every week, but is the internet broken?
Yeah, in the whole world, I believe, right now.
Jesus.
Or, well, at least around here. I've talked to multiple people with multiple different suppliers.
I think it's
My home internet is horrible. My Wi-Fi is. And it seems to be going across all different carriers at the moment. So, I don't know. Is there something up with the infrastructure? Inquiring minds want to know.
I can't even find my phone. People that I'm a minute on the air and I can't find my phone.
You're doing great.
Oh, damn it. That's terrible. I'll give you $5 if you can run down to my car and get my phone.
I mean, I can't leave here right now because...
No, How did I do that? It's not even possible that I sat up here this entire time.
Do you want me to try to call it?
Yes. Oh, I got it.
Ah, see? Look at you. I'll take the $5 still.
All right, okay, fair enough. Just if I don't put on Do Not Disturb, there's always one asshole during my show that will call me on the phone knowing. And when I look down and see who it is, it's not like somebody that doesn't know I'm doing a show, right? It's somebody that...
So
like I talked to you 20 minutes before I went on the air, and I'm going on the air in 20 minutes.
What's more the interjection I wanted to make of the fact that you were looking for your phone to put it on silent, but you were going to pay me to go get it from your car so I could bring it back to you so you could put it on silent?
Right.
If that's not an addiction to our technology.
I get it. You're right. I can't.
It's great. No, you're doing great.
Can't dispute that. Hey, I'm alive.
Dude, you're doing fine.
We'll talk about that in a second.
I like to point this thing. I think that's a funny train of thought because anyone could have done that. You're just like, can you go get my phone? I need my phone.
Right.
And you're like, what do you need it for? You're like, to put it on silent. Wait a minute.
I'm such an idiot.
That does not work.
All right, I want to hit Papa Buzz out of everybody.
You in the truck.
Ooh, wow.
Mel and Taylor. That was pretty tight.
Any signs from the Hood Boogers? Have they tried to come in and get me shut down again?
Not that I know.
No, all right, very good.
I'm actually really surprised no one has... No, you know what? We don't need to talk about it on the air.
All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? I think.
Hi,
how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here at the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi, atop Two Guys Smoke Shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. I've got a little bit of a mishmash of a show today. Got a bunch of topics I want to jump around. Don't have too many local things to talk about, but I do want to start it. Well, let's start off by thanking some of our sponsors. You know, we have a brand new sponsor today. We've grown now 200% in our sponsorship since the boycott started. So I want to thank everybody for trying to boycott my show. And I'm not even going to mention them by name, but they're all over Facebook constantly trying to boycott my show. And business owners see that on Facebook and go, and here's the thing, people generally go the opposite. It usually backfires when you try to boycott something. Like, I think the only boycott that I've seen in the last 10 years that's actually worked was the Bud Light boycott. And that's only because, like, their base customer was so slapped in the face by what they were doing that the boycott actually worked and hurt them financially. Otherwise, every other boycott I've ever heard of, whether it was the governor of Florida trying to boycott Disney or some of the other boycotts that you've seen about certain products, it almost always, remember the Goya boycott? The CEO, the owner of Goya Foods, endorsed Donald Trump 4 years ago, and there was this massive call for a boycott of Goya Foods, and they tripled their revenue in a year because of it. And that's kind of what's happened here. So they've called for a boycott of my show, they've called for a boycott of my newspaper, and our ad revenue in the newspaper has gone up about 30-something%. 300% on this program, by the way. We went from 5 sponsors to, I think we're up to maybe 15, if I count it right. I'm not going to count it live, but a whole crapload of new sponsors. So let's start by thanking some of them. Of course, those who have been with us from the very beginning and are with us long term, we want to thank First Century 21, McLennan Real Estate, the Zinni Pesci, we'll get it eventually, right? Zinni Pesh.
Don't say we like I'm part of this. I know how to say your name.
You're right. Zinni Pesh Law Office. If you're interested in, I hear bankruptcies are starting to go up. So if you're thinking about bankruptcy, the Zinni Pesh Law Office in Methuen is the place to go. Who else do we have? Marson & Son Construction, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, Tomo and Shaken Seafoods, Clear Path for Veterans New England, AFC Urgent Care. I think we got Zaka coming in next week, I think. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Patrick's North Shore Eatery, which used to be Harrison's Roast Beef, who donated 2 trays of onion rings and 2 trays of chicken palm last night for the homeless at TMF, which was wonderful, as well as the Mike Delaney family, the Halloran family, the Delaney family. They're all kind of intertwined. So we want to thank them as well. Who else do we have left? Prime Insurance, the Doug Mercurio Law Office. We love Doug. He's up on Main Street in North Reading. So if you're in the North Andover area, you want to call him. 11 Restaurant, which I think the grand opening is next week. So we're going to be at that. Chris's Barbershop, Enterprise Bank. We love Enterprise Bank. Oh, my God. I moved all of my accounts from Santander to Enterprise Bank. I have 5 accounts. I moved them all over to Enterprise Bank. And on the first day, 2 things happened that made me realize what a great decision that was. So if you're thinking, if you have a business, or even if you just want to, if you have personal accounts, you want to, especially if you're in like a big bank, like Bank of America, Santander Bank, they're changing all of their banking rules, all of them. And the minute I went from Santander to Enterprise Bank, literally my life became easier. Like, I'm not exaggerating that because they're buying a sponsorship. I said it actually. In fact, the reason they're sponsoring the show, the reason they're advertising the Valley Patriot is because when they weren't advertising with us, I was on the show almost every week telling everybody they should be moving their business to Enterprise Bank. So it kind of worked the other way around. I'm not saying it because they're advertising. They're advertising because I say it. And that's a wonderful thing, too. And I want to say hi to Jessica and Jesus and Jennifer and Marilyn and everybody over at Enterprise Bank. We love them. W3ON, Stadium Chiropractic, 4-star lighting, A&J Goodwin Plumbing, and our newest sponsor coming on today, we want to thank them from North Andover, Bonfire Wellness Center of North Andover. Also a free shout out to JG's Ice Cream because it's still summer, and if you need ice cream, that's the place to go. All right, so let me jump around a little bit. I want to start off, before we get into any heavy topics. A year ago today, I was dead.
Before we get into any heavy topics.
Right.
Okay.
And I know that you guys, the one thing I don't want you to think is that I want to talk about myself. This is not about me. So obviously it's about me because I died, right? I was in a coma. They had to bring me back twice. I was in the coma for 11 days. I was in the hospital for 34 days. I was in rehab for 7 or 10 days. And then I was back and forth from Dana-Farber to Beth Israel in Boston every single day until December 20th. So from August 28th, the anniversary was yesterday that I went into the hospital, until December 20th, I was dealing with these very serious health issues. And I'm bringing it up for a couple of reasons. One, I'm very happy to be here. And every single day I wake up and I take a deep breath, and life looks a little bit differently than it did before I went into the hospital. I also bring it up because I want to take this opportunity to thank, and I can't name everybody, but I want to thank everybody who, while I was in the hospital, kept it a secret from the public. Because there are so many people out there who try to take advantage of the fact when you're in trouble to try and destroy your business, to try and destroy your personal life, to try and destroy you personally. And some of that did happen when words started to leak out a little bit. People were trying to call for a boycott of my paper. People were trying to do certain things. Somebody actually posted on my Facebook page that I was dead, which technically was true, but then not true, right? Because they brought me back. And so I want to thank Nancy for saving my life. And I know she hates when I do this, but I'm doing it anyway because she's my best friend. And if not for her showing up at my office at 7 o'clock on a Monday night, I wouldn't be here right now. You guys would be watching something else. You'd be watching Kamala Harris cackle on Twitter somewhere. I also want to thank David Consoli, who stepped up to the plate, having never done this, who just showed up that Thursday. I went into the hospital on Monday, and he showed up on Thursday and did a show. And had never done it before, had no idea what he was doing. He jumped in with both feet. He was willing to do it, and I love that guy for it. Also, my friend Tim Hart, who I've known since 5th grade, who heard through the grapevine somehow, because again, only like 9 people knew. Literally 9 people knew. I counted it last night. He found out, though. He became like the 9th person to find out, and came in and said a prayer while I was in ICU. And I also want to thank all the reason. Here's the real reason I'm bringing this up. Somebody you know is going through this right now. Somebody you know has a family member or they themselves are in the hospital and you don't know it. And they're fighting for their life and you don't know it. And they need your prayers. And the incredible people at Lawrence General, the incredible doctors, the nurses, the staff, the interns, the respiratory crew, for lack of a better medical team. I was on I think it's the 3rd floor in ICU for 11 days in a coma. I was intubated on a ventilator for 3 more days even after they took me out of the coma. And the miracles that they performed every single day was incredible. And I'm bringing this up for a lot of reasons, but this is the main reason. After this happened, I tried to track down all of the people that had worked on me so I could thank them, and none of them would let me. And so I wrote a story about it in the newspaper, and I still left out a couple of names because I wasn't able to get all of the names of all of the people who held vigil over me while I was in a coma. Like, I'm literally laying there dying. And there were people nurses and doctors and specialists and internists and I don't even know what all the titles are, right? But these people made it their life mission to save mine. And somebody you know is going through that right now, and you don't know about it. So say a prayer for the people that you know, because you really don't know what people are going through, or maybe someone that you know's family member is going through it, and they're just not talking about it. Because I was in the hospital for 34 days before anybody knew what had happened to me. It wasn't until they were discharging me from Lawrence General, the day before they discharged me, that I actually went on Facebook and said, hey, I'm getting discharged from Lawrence General tomorrow. You guys aren't going to believe this story. And people were like, really? Wow, we knew something was wrong. We hadn't seen you on Facebook in a while, Tom, but geez, we're glad you're okay. We can't wait to hear the story. So again, it's not about me, but I always like to use what happens in my life to be like a learning lesson for how you treat other people. And I think you should be a little bit more mindful of your friends and your family members who may not be telling you what they're going through, because I guarantee you every single person listening to this knows somebody who's going through that right now. And thank you to all of the friends, Joe Solomon, who was by my side every single day, my parents, every single day by my side, Nancy, and Randy Carter, by the way, who was by my side, not every day, but almost every day. He actually tried to have get permission from the nurses to paint my toenails pink and my fingernails pink, so that when I woke up, I thought I was a girl. He thought that was funny. And quite frankly, after I recovered, I thought it was funny, but in the moment, I didn't really think it was all that funny anyways. So anyways, anniversary was yesterday, and I've been alive again born again, so to speak, for about a year. And I'm still getting better every day. I'm not back to 100%, but boy, I'm at probably about 80%. And all the people who have reached out to me since then and sent me cards and called me and emailed me, texted me. Some people have actually sent me stuff. All the people that sent me food in the hospital, Michael Agricola, John Zimini, all those people, I want to thank all of you. I have not forgotten what you have done for me. And I will not forget what you have done for me when I was literally at death's door. And as Michael Gorman said at my bash, and death turned me away. Even death didn't want me. So thank you to everybody for that. One other personal thing that I want to talk about, not really personal, but a little bit. So Veterans Northeast Outreach, I understand, is going to be closing. I'm sad about this, but I also I'm bipolar on it. I got to be honest with you, because it's been so poorly run in the last 5 years that it almost seems like it should be shut down. And it's horrible for the veterans in the Haverhill area who are not going to be getting the services that they desperately need. But the people who are running Veterans Northeast Outreach, and the people who have, in the last few years, been running Veterans Northeast Outreach, have an attitude that has led to the decline of Veterans Northeast Outreach. And it always culminated in one quote that was on my Facebook page this morning, which is why I'm bringing it up. Somebody came onto my Facebook page with a fake name and a fake profile because they're such cowards. And they said, when are you going to get over your John Ratka fetish? And that quote encapsulates the reason Veterans Northeast Outreach is being shut down. Now, why do I say that? Because John Ratka was a very good friend of mine and Randy's and Jason's. I was there the day that Veterans Northeast, I was there with Linda Campbell, state representative from Methuen, the day that they cut the ribbon 20-something years ago on Veterans Northeast Outreach, which didn't exist. It wasn't like John Ratka took it over from somebody else. He started it from nothing, bought a church, renovated it, then began to buy properties, getting homeless veterans into not just rooming houses, but actual apartments, hiring people to come on board to do job training to help veterans get jobs, and the incredible work that John Ratka did building that organization, and then he passed away. And when he passed away, the people that took over said, they basically spit on John Ratka's grave. They spit on everything that he served for, everything he lived for, and everything he died for. And yes, Ed Mitchell, I'm talking about you too. And it's sad. We've lost John, but not only did we lose John, we lost John's vision for never say no to a veteran. And so the people that took over Veterans Northeast Outreach were very hostile to John Ratka by name. Ed Mitchell came in, and the first thing he did is he got rid of all of the people that John Ratka had hired. And by the way, John Ratka didn't hire one civilian. He hired all veterans. And when the new leadership came on board, they got rid of all the veterans and hired all of their friends who were civilians. And because they did that, and because their attitude is, why do you have a John Ratka fetish? We have to get rid of the fetish of John Ratka. Well, I got to be honest with you. The guy was a hero. Not only did he serve his country, but when he came back, spent every waking moment trying to find a way to help other veterans who were less fortunate than him, and did so. He did a hell of a lot more than any of you will ever do with your life. He did a hell of a lot more for other people than any of you will ever do combined. And now, because the leadership at Veterans Northeast Outreach got rid of the veterans who were working on those programs, and the grants that they received mandated that the veterans, that the grant that they received mandated that the programs were run by veterans. In other words, the state and federal government gave VNOC, Veterans Northeast Outreach, grants, and those grants said, if you're going to start a job training program, you got to hire veterans to work on it. If you're going to do a food program, you have to hire veterans to work on it. So everything that was going on over there was helping veterans, from the people that were working there to the people that were being serviced. And they decided, the new leadership came on and decided, we don't want that. We want to walk away from John Ratka's mission. We don't like John Ratka. And do you know why they didn't like John Ratka? Because John Ratka was so well respected and so revered in the community, they were jealous. So they tried to spit on John Ratka's memory and everything John Ratka lived and died for. And now, as a result, Veterans Northeast Outreach, my understanding is being closed down. Very sad for the veterans that are being serviced. If you guys had just gone in there and continued John Ratka's mission of never saying no to a veteran, no matter what, finding a way to make it work, even if the rules said it shouldn't work, Veterans Northeast Outreach would be thriving right now. And I'm only hoping that ClearPath or some other organization can go in and pick up the slack to service those veterans in the Haverhill area, because there are a lot of them, and a lot of them need help. A lot of them need help. They need help with housing. They need help with food. They need help with benefits. They need help with psychological services. And the arrogance of the people who took over after John are the reason it's closing. All right, I know we only got 15 minutes, so where do we want to go first? I got a bunch of things that I want to talk about. I'm not going to have time for most of it. I'm going to save the MSPCA for next week. Let's see. All right, let's pull up the Gus Wall. Do you have the Twitter video? I want to play this video for you. This was on Twitter. This is the son of Tim Walz. Tim Walz is I think his name is Tim, is the vice presidential pick of Kamala Harris for the Democrat presidential race. Kamala Harris is running for president. This is her vice president. And this is his son when he saw his father getting up to accept the nomination as vice president, if we can run that. Sorry, I thought I'd give you enough time. That's perfect. Okay, so I wanted to show you that because from that clip, a bunch of really scummy people took to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the different social media sites that are out there now. There's so many of them I can't even list them all, and started attacking Tim Wall's son. Now, in fairness, some of them I'm sure didn't know that he was special needs. Although I think from watching that, kind of clear that he's special needs. But I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to a lot of people who may just not have known that the kid was special needs, and they were reacting to what they thought was very weird behavior of a son who was crying that way and being that openly emotional about his father becoming the nominee for vice president. However, there were a lot of people that did know that anyway. I think it's very clear just from that one clip. If you've never seen this kid before, from that one clip, I think it's pretty obvious. But I am going to give the benefit of the doubt to some people who didn't know. And I think the people on the other side, the people on the Democrat side that are railing right now on this, should understand that I'm sure that there were some people that didn't know. However, there were a lot of people, and I would say probably the majority of the people, who after watching that clip knew very well what they were doing and took to social media and attacked this kid as weird and attacked the father as weird and made disparaging comments about this special needs kid. And I say kid, he's actually an adult. But when you're special needs, you're really kind of a kid. I worked at Fidelity House, at Class, at American Training. I worked maybe 7 years of my life with mentally retarded adults. And most of them are really kids. I mean, if you dealt with them and you love them, you know that most of them are basically, they're just grown-up kids. And those of you who attack this kid for political reasons, pretty scummy thing to do. However, the Democrats on the other side who looked at this as an opportunity to exploit this young special needs kid, this special needs adult, and using it to rail against all Republicans or all Trump supporters, to lump everybody in with those that were making fun of him, is even more scummy because you guys knew outright that he was special needs because it's in all of your friggin' tweets. It's in all of your Facebook posts. It's in all your LinkedIn posts. And you're exploiting a special needs kid for political gain while railing against somebody for attacking a special needs kid for political gain. Which one is worse? Let me ask you, those of you who have no dog in this fight, which one do you think is worse? What do you think is worse? Is it worse that some people who didn't know, but some who did, attacked a special needs kid for political gain? Or is it worse that all of those on the other side who knew he was special needs then railed against everyone on the other side, lumped them all in together, labeled and stereotyped them to try and get political gain out of it? I think it's kind of scummy on both sides. And I think it's really more disgusting on the Democrat side because you guys are the ones putting yourself on a higher moral pedestal while you're doing not just the same thing, but actually worse. All right, so that's what I have to say about that. And, you know, I've tried to mediate this because I'm, as somebody who has worked with mentally, and my Uncle Dickie was mentally, back then we called it mentally retarded. Today everybody gets all worked up about the word retarded. I want to do a whole show someday on why that's not something we should be doing, but special needs, retarded, whatever word you want to use, whatever word makes you feel better. Having experienced people like that, I think it's really just scummy on both sides. And one side is worse than the other, and I don't think it's the Republicans. All right, let's call for, where do we want to go first? I think the Trump thing, 11 minutes. I'm only going to have time for one of these. So what do you want to do? You want to do surprise Arizona arrested, or do you want to do Trump white supremacy? You know, you just want to do either one of them. You just want to talk about rainbows and kittens.
I don't listen to either one.
Rainbows and kittens.
What do you think is the most?
We get 10 minutes. What can we spend 10 minutes on?
The weather with you? I don't know.
All right. Well, if we do surprise Arizona, you have to bounce it up to like a certain point in time in the video. And I know in the Trump one, you have to bounce up to 30 seconds into the video. So which one do you think would be?
What story would you like to do?
All right,
Sarah?
10 minutes, huh?
You're wasting it by deciding.
I know. Let's go with Surprise, Arizona arrested.
All right.
So in Surprise, Arizona, that's actually the name of the town. Surprise, Arizona. Surprise. A woman gets up at a city council meeting. Apparently, the mayor of Surprise sits as the chairman of the city council. Some communities, it's not like that. In Lawrence, the mayor doesn't sit on the council. In Methuen, the mayor doesn't sit on the council. Although in Methuen, you kind of think he does because he sits there, right? In Lawrence, I think they do it better. The mayor's not even in the room. The mayor is sitting there while a woman, beautiful redheaded woman, gets up to the microphone, which is what caught my eye. I didn't even care about the topic when I was flipping through YouTube. But I happened to see her, so I wanted to see what this was about. And this woman gets up and starts talking about the amount of money that the city attorney in Surprise, Arizona makes. Not really a big controversial thing, right? Not really earth-shattering topic for a guy in Salem, New Hampshire to be talking about on a weekly podcast, right? Except while she's talking, and I'm bringing this up for a really good reason. This happens in every flipping community, including yours, all right? So what ensues from this is, as she's talking about the city attorney by name, I'm pretty sure she mentioned his name and how much he makes, and compared it to what city attorneys in other communities make, which is a perfectly legitimate public discussion to have at any city council meeting in any town, anywhere in America. Anywhere in a free society, that is absolutely a valid discussion to have. I want you to watch, though, what the mayor does as chairman of the city council in Surprise, Arizona, because it goes perfectly with the tone and topic of this show. On a weekly basis, we talk about the First Amendment, that there are rules and there are laws when it comes to the First Amendment. And those rules and those laws do not restrict you. Those rules and those laws restrict public officials from stopping you from speaking your mind, especially at a public meeting. Let's watch what happens here.
Titled to request.
I've got to interrupt you here because...
Okay, are you going to stop the timer?
This is the public meeting forum that you agree to when you speak. And I want to read this to you, that there are oral communications during the city council meeting may not be used to lodge charges or complaints against any employee of the city or members of the body, regardless of whether such person is identified in the presentation by the name or by any other reference that tends to identify him or her.
That's all fine, well and good, but that's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
Damn right it is.
Well, this is your warning, okay?
A warning for what?
A warning for attacking the city attorney personally.
This is all factual information.
It doesn't matter.
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
This is what you agree to when you first speaking. This is the form.
It is unconstitutional, Mayor Hall.
Well, it's not unconstitutional.
It is.
And if you're
the Supreme Court has upheld. I could get up here and I could swear at you for 3 straight minutes, and it is protected speech.
No, you
by the
can't.
Supreme
Actually,
Court.
yes, you can.
Why don't you look at case law?
No, you can't.
I can.
Yeah, you can.
If you want to be
also the chair is engaged in debate. So
do you
point
want
of
to be
order.
escorted out of here? Do you want to be escorted out
You're
of here?
violating my First Amendment rights.
Talking.
You are violating my First Amendment rights.
That's your opinion.
It's not a matter of opinion.
Do you want to be escorted out, Ms. Massey? Because that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen in the future also. Anytime you attack
That's
any
why you changed the
staff
rules.
Or any
That's why you
city-
changed the rules.
This has been on the back of this form.
I understand, Mayor Hall, but that is completely unconstitutional.
No, it's
You're
not.
also engaging in debate, and so you should actually be
Anyway,
yielding the floor to somebody else.
okay.
Right.
engaging.
Chief,
Right.
could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out?
Really?
of
Is
this
that
room?
Wow.
Yes, I
in
think
front
it
of my
is.
10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me
That's
out
fine.
for expressing my
She
First
can go
Amendment
with
rights.
you. She can go with you.
I'm not leaving.
Well,
I'm expressing my first. Do not touch me. Do not put your hands on me.
Wow.
Do not put your hands on me.
Come on out.
Is this China?
Do not put your hands on me.
Come out with me now.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Are you detaining me?
Yes.
Why am I being detained? Under what charges? Under what charges?
okay, so I'll.
Hey, I have personal property. Hold on. You cannot touch me.
Yeah, I know. She can go out there. Okay.
Wow, you can cut that. I
I'll
don't know. I don't know what country I'm living in. Like I woke up, I saw this, and I was like, "Am I living in China? Am I living in Russia? Is this Iran?"
They should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, and by the way, and we'll get 5 minutes, and that's okay because I could do this in 5. There are a lot of scummy ways, and I've used that word a couple times today, so it's just on the top of my head. But there's a lot of really despicable ways that government officials try to stop you from criticizing them in public. And one of the ways you saw it on this clip is in Surprise, Arizona, they instituted this new policy. They call it a civility policy. There was a Massachusetts Supreme Court ruling that we talked about a few months ago, I believe in Stoughton in Massachusetts, where the same exact thing happened. They institute this policy. They think they can get around the First Amendment by telling you that in order to sign up for public participation, you have to sign a waiver of your rights that you're going to conform to this civility policy, that you're not going to mention people by name, you're not going to talk about this, you're not going to talk about that, you're not going to talk about anything that's going to make us public officials look bad. And even though you sign that, it's still a violation of your First Amendment right to make you sign it. So they think that they can get around the First Amendment by making you sign. Before you can speak in public participation, you have to sign a form that you realize what the civility policies are to speak publicly. And this woman was within every single right she had under the Constitution of the United States to get up there and talk about, and what she was talking about was not that the guy was sleeping with, cheating on his wife. She wasn't talking about the guy was drunk driving. She was talking about how much a public employee, the city attorney in Surprise, Arizona, gets paid compared to what the city attorneys in other communities get paid. And that's a perfectly valid thing for any American citizen to get up at a public board and talk about. And she said something there when she said, I can get up here and I can swear at you for 3 minutes, and you can't stop me. That's also been ruled by the Supreme Court. You have a free speech right at a public meeting to say whatever you want. Period, full stop, end of conversation. And the other thing that these enemies of freedom do in every community, when you're the chairman of a board, when you're the mayor, you're the head of a school committee, the head of a board of selectmen, they're supposed to pass the gavel if they're going to speak on an issue. Because the reason why the chairman has a gavel is to gavel people out of order if they're breaking the rules. Can't talk over each other, certain things that the elected officials can't do. So you hold the gavel to gavel out other elected officials, not members of the public. And so we talk a lot about the First Amendment on this show. I come in with clips about this all the time. It just seems like every day there's another clip of another video that gets worse and worse and worse. I had to watch that 3 times to realize, to understand, to let it sink into my brain what I was seeing. This woman got arrested. By the way, multi-million-dollar lawsuit. It'll never even go to court. She will have a free lawyer who will I'm sure has already happened, step forward and said, I'll take your case for free, I'll take it on a contingency, and there's no way that ever sees a jury. Because there's no way the city attorneys in Surprise, Arizona are going to let it go to a jury who will give her $100 gazillion and more. They'll settle it out of court. The worst thing is, though, when they settle these things out of court, as we're seeing in Methuen, when they settle these kinds of things out of court, there's always a non-disclosure agreement that will give you $1 gazillion quietly, but you can't tell anybody how much we gave you. And you can't tell anybody what the conditions of the settlement were. But they changed the rules. Your local city councils, and you need to understand this, if you're flipping through channels and you're watching your local board of selectmen, your local school committee, your local zoning board, your local library board of trustees, that you have to have public participation, and the only restriction you can put on public participation is the amount of time that everyone gets to speak, and it has to be uniform for everyone. You can't say Jim can speak for 4 minutes and Sally can only speak for 2. We've seen this at Lawrence City Council meetings. They say you have 2 minutes to speak and that's it, or 3 minutes to speak. And they let one speaker go over by a minute because what he was saying was so compelling. From that point forward, they have to give everybody else an extra minute. because you have free speech rights in this country. It's the First Amendment for a reason. The First Amendment is first for a reason. It is the one right that all the other rights derive from. And I don't know what more I can say about this other than every single person who is involved in their local government needs to know these rules. You need to know what your First Amendment rights are, because people who show up at these meetings who don't know what their First Amendment rights are get run over by elected officials, by corrupt elected officials like Mayor Hall in Surprise, Arizona. I would love to get this woman on my show. In fact, I'm going to try and reach out to her after today's show, see if we can't get her in at some point next month. I know we talked about, I think it was Stoughton, but don't hold me to the town. We brought the clip in. We talked about this. Mass Supreme Court ruled that they could not have civility policies. I know we're up against time. We're good? All right. We did have another clip. We're going to save that for next week. The September edition of the Valley Patriot will be out. We're going to be out about a week later this month because of the holiday. We're going to be out on September 10th. But some of the things you can look for, well, I'm not even going to give you a preview. You need to know that the MSPCA, though, was on my radar screen. And there's a lot going on at the MSPCA, especially in Methuen. And they're on my radar screen. There's a couple of other things that are on my radar screen at the moment. And I am just very happy and very privileged to be able to have the job that I have, to be here with all of you. You can roll up, Mel, if you want. Yeah. To be here with all of you. I'm also very happy, thrilled, actually, to have such incredible friends and family members who have stood by me through my recovery over the last year. Hopefully by next year at this time, I'm at 100%. I'm almost there. I'm in my 80s now, right? I'm doing better. But, there's been some setbacks, and it certainly makes you look at life a little differently. Certainly it does. And for what little time I have left, I want to say that I do love all of you who have helped, who have even just the people I don't even know, readers of my paper, who have sent me a card saying, hey, I don't know the details, but I heard you were not feeling good, and, we're praying for you, and I appreciate all of that. And also Chrissy, who had to go through all of this without me for 3 months.
It was rough.
Yeah? Did you miss me?
It was worth it. Yes, I missed you.
Shucks.
You even had me crying earlier. You surprise me every now and again,
Do I?
Yeah. It's nice to give people their roses while they're still here,
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important. So it was nice that you did that.
Thank you.
Especially when you're talking about someone like Nancy. That's what got me, is because I know she wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
You have to kind of give it to her.
Oh, she hates it. She hates any
Everyone give Nancy a hug if you're near her.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell her she's awesome.
We want to thank Bonfire Wellness Center in North Andover, A&J Goodwin Plumbing, 4-Star Lighting, Stadium Chiropractic, which is right behind Taco Bell in St. Lawrence, W3 On, Enterprise Bank, Chris's Barbershop. 11. Did we lose Mel? 11,
I just kept doing it. I just started it again.
11 Restaurant at 226 Astor Street. I think they're opening next week.
So don't rush. We're fine.
All right.
Take a breath.
Prime Insurance with Doug Mercurio, the Mercurio Law Office in North Reading. He just came back from a vacation in Europe, and one of the things that he said to me was hilarious. He said, yeah, we just got back. He goes, I wish the Europeans were as in love with air conditioning as I am. Apparently they don't do air conditioning. They also don't do ice in Europe either.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can't get beer with ice. You can't get, drinks with ice in, England, Scotland, that whole area. Yeah, it's just not part of their tradition. I don't know why they haven't, at least now that America has developed, ice boxes and ice. Maybe figure that out. What else do we have? Patrick's North Shore Eatery, who donated a ton of food last night for TMF. Thank you guys for all of that. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, AFC Urgent Care, Clear Path for Veterans New England, a real nonprofit that takes nothing off the top. 100% of what you donate goes directly to homeless veterans. Tomo and Shaken Seafood, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, Martian & Son Construction, Zandy Pesci Law Office, and Century 21 McLennan Real Estate. Melvin Taylor says you got to go home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.